how long does it take to build a mountain in Minecraft? It takes a bit, and there's a lot that goes into building a mountain, as you can see. So, to build a mountain, it's good to have more of a gradient with it, like just because I went from tough to stone to just andesite and then snow. And the reason I went from that is when you look at it, it just feels like bigger as it goes up. And you can't just copy and paste this in. It has to be mostly made by hand because each block is placed in no pattern. There's no pattern to this at all. Because if you make it more in a cone shape, it doesn't have that natural look about it at all. I'm making this like a very peaked mountain. Definitely, probably not realistic at all. But it's what I thought of when I thought of mountain. Now, there's things I could improve, like make this look more like cave entrance. Like, have like stone, like stalactite, stalagmite, you know, that stuff. Like have that down like that, making it look more interesting. And then there's always places where I'm like, yeah, I could definitely improve there, but the way I got the mountain, I made the mountain, is I had a block. Well, I started with the tough, but I sort of just kind of went up, sort of in a way, and then like changed after I felt right. And then I did that until I got to a point where I was like, oh, this is big enough. And I kind of just went down again. You know, and doing that gives a natural shape, just like not doing stairs or anything, like just going down. And then I went from the top and made sort of a spiral, getting bigger as I went down, which also helps. And then you have to change blocks as well, making sure it's not. And I could have definitely improved on this, but made it look less like it's just cut off in one spot, and making it look like it's more naturally going on. Now with the snow, I know that wasn't how it works. With the snow, I just was like, pile it on, add some snow, you know, that kind of stuff. Now, I didn't want to leave the mountain blank. When I was talking to my friend about like making a mountain, we both thought mountain with waterfall and like a lake and trees. So that's what I did. I started with dark blue glass, and I went down making a little line, going around with cyan and then light blue glass. And then once I got to the bottom, I added white glass and then white glass panes around to make it look like water coming off and like little droplets coming off too as the water fell. It's more still, it's more of a still motion picture. And then on the bottom of this, I put shroom lights, and then I just did layers of the same colored glass I used here. And I made a bunch of more custom trees, and this is how it turned out. And I was thinking I could do like trees around the whole mountain, and then I was like, after I made a few, trees are hard. It's hard to get the right shape and everything like that, because you really have to make it so it's really that. It's much nicer to see a tree that looks more like this than a tree that sort of looks, it just flows better. And then I'm, just throw leaves around. So I just kind of built trees. It made it look nice, and then I just sprinkled in flowering azalea leaves. It takes a while. As you can see, that took maybe almost 30 seconds, minutes. minute-ish, minute or two, just to build a singular tree. So imagine having to make hundreds of trees going around this whole mountain. Not a fun task at all. Now, let's go on to a mountain that's not as good, but I can definitely show you like what I did wrong with it. On the other side of this village, see there's the village right there, we have another mountain. This mountain I didn't think was as good. I just didn't like it as much. And it kind of, from this side, it just kind of looked small, especially on this side. I felt like it needed to be going out more, especially from this side. And this just sort of looked like a cut off between, and you can tell where it cut off and around. And I didn't really like how I did the snow here. I could have definitely done more just blocks and stuff instead of like putting just snow here. It would have been better if I did more blocks around. And I felt like using 4 different blocks, which was the tuff, dead coral, stone, and andesite, I felt like that was a little too much. And I just didn't like this mountain as much. It's a nice mountain, but if I added more of this around and not had it only on where the sideline area-ish was, it would have, one, looked better if I made this a little bit bigger and like go out further. It would have also looked better, which I could fix, but it would take a long time. Now, on to how long it takes to build the mountain. Now, this mountain alone, just this mountain, took 2 hours. Took 2 hours to build. 2 hours, and I placed every single block of this. Now, if you were making a mountain in survival mode, you'd have to gather all the resources, which is a lot, and it would have probably taken maybe triple, quadruple that amount. So it might have taken 4, maybe even 4 hours, maybe even 8 hours just in survival mode, because this is big. This is quite big. It's really big. On the other hand, we'll just fly over to this mountain. They're big. On the other hand, this mountain took 4 hours. So in total, to build both of those mountains, to scrap one of them and to build a whole new one, it took 6 hours alone just to build the mountain. I haven't even gotten to the trees and the lake and the waterfall yet. I'm still on the mountain. This took 6 hours, which in survival mode, it probably might have taken a few days, maybe. Because time, effort, planning has to go into each sort of placement. Make sure it looks good, make sure it's well, because I didn't plan this out at all. I just kind of placed the blocks randomly. If you planned it more, it probably would have looked better. But that would have taken maybe a few hours-ish. And the fact that that took 2 hours by itself, I sort of had a little bit of knowledge of it. And I started from the top and went to the bottom on this one so that it wouldn't do that thin area where I did on the last one. Now, onto the waterfall area. And we're on 6 hours so far. This probably took, this took no time at all. It was easy to make the waterfall, it was easy to do this part, and then this part I just kind of went from here to the bottom of that, and there to the bottom of that, and just did a coordinate fill command, filling just with replace air, because if you, let's see. So you're like, okay, slash fill, and then you do that, and then that, and you can say, oh, I want, let's see, acacia signs, and then you can replace air, and it'll replace all area with air to acacia signs. So that's because if you have a weird shape like this, you really don't want it to just be a square. You want maybe a weird shape, because now we have a weird shaped sign thing. Not the best. Okay, now the trees. Like I said, the trees are hard. Each one is unique, each one was different, each one had their own design pretty much. So that took 2 hours. So in total, the whole mountain, like everything, including the scrapped mountain, took 8 hours. Now, for just this mountain area, it's only 6 hours, which is still quite a lot of time. So with you, as you can see, these builds, these giant builds, take a long time. And this is the whole way around, like, nothing's unfinished in this. I could add a cave if I wanted to, but that needs fixed. You can see that the whole mountain's complete. I literally went into the inside of this mountain and looked for any light spaces like that to cover up. I literally had to place blocks, which is what I did. I went around, placed blocks, and I looked for any air spaces. Now the only reason there's light here is there's powdered snow that you can just pop through. So there's light there because powdered snow lets light through, I guess. And yeah, this mountain is complete, pretty much. And it took 8 hours to make. It's a very pretty mountain. Very, very pretty mountain. Actually, let's do this. That's a very, very, very beautiful mountain. That took 6 hours. Is it worth it? Ish. Not really. It just took a lot of time and energy. All in all, worth it or not worth it? If you really, really want to, it's worth it. If you really don't feel like it, just don't. Yeah. Oh, and that was all in one day. Shouldn't have done that. Anyways, that's all for today's video. I hope you learned something new and enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and please consider subscribing. Thank you.